It's my trademark. Okay, I should have a mug or something. Okay, anyway. So basically today we have a fantastic guest all the way from Montfort University in Leicester. You know the story. I'm an ambassador for Leicester City. I'm a Leicester girl. Graduated from Montfort University twice, born in Leicester, got married in Leicester, gave birth in Leicester, probably die in Leicester. You never know. I know, but what can I do? Right, so about my guest. Now, Saed Abib is his name. He is the regional manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. Mind-blowing. Oh my goodness, what area, lovely area that he covers. So he is right at the top of the chain in terms of at the international office. He is so that's what he is. And he'll be coming here very soon. He'll be answering all your questions with regards to admissions, okay? So if you have any questions, little or small, doesn't matter. We will upload it here and we'll make sure we can have it answered for you live on the show, okay? What has this got to do with me and being a Feedback Friday? What it is that UK Bright Education, we are an authorized partner for Montfort University. We actually help with UK university admissions. Like I said, we're authorized partner with Montfort University, so you know what to do. DM me direct if you'd like an admission, okay? Just send your CV. My email address is there, okay? Please use it, and we'll take it from there. Okay, now, without further ado, here's my guest, Saeed. Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
How are you? Walaikum you all right?
I'm fine. How are you, Saeed?
Not too bad. Not quite at the top of the tree in the international office, but we're doing all right. We're doing
Sub-Saharan Africa, Saeed.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Being modest.
The team's at the top of the tree. I'm a support function.
Oh, such a modest guy. Look, this is Montfort University, right? So yeah, tell me you can pour your heart today. I can't get my words out today. You can pour your heart in terms of
that Friday feeling.
Yes, the Friday feeling. Just give it out. So basically, what are the classic mistakes that you think that students make? What do you think?
Well, first things first, thank you so much for having me. Jum'ah Mubarak to you. And it's really good to be with you again. I think we did this a few months ago, the last time we did it, and that was really, really useful for me. So thank you so much for doing that. And I think this is really useful. I watch your Feedback Fridays, and it's really useful to see.
Someone's
it's really useful to see. Well, I think it's good for the students, right, to get some piece of information every single week, and it's a bit of consistency for them. So thank you so much for doing that, and I think it's amazing what you're doing with your social media. So I'm always copying and taking notes. So
I thought it's the other way around. Say this the other way around. Don't lie.
No.
We'll talk about that another day.
But yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's really good timing that we're having this conversation. We've just wrapped up the January intake. Hugely successful for Montfort University, but specifically for Sub-Saharan Africa. And it's massively on my mind that with the September intake coming up, we're going to have a huge amount of applications, and the easier we can make it for students, the better, particularly when it comes to, those big glaring errors that we often see that can be easily avoided. And I'll start with the obvious, which is when you're applying to Montfort University, make sure that your personal statement mentions Montfort University. Now, what can often happen is, students, rightly so, will have a few options that they're applying to. And what can more often than not happen is they'll signpost a specific university in their personal statement and then send it to the wrong university. Okay. Now, for Montfort University and every other UK HEI, that speaks to a student not being a credible student because they haven't taken the time to signpost the correct university. Okay. It seems like a small error, but if we extrapolate it out to that student getting an offer letter, that student actually sitting with the UK VI in their visa application, and they say something like, I want to go to another really good university, Anglia Ruskin, instead of Montfort University, that's ground for them not receiving their visa and being rejected.
Really? It's as serious as that?
Absolutely, because they don't know which university they're going to.
Oh, yes.
It's ultimately every single student is making a £25,000 on average, investment into their studies. So
At least get the name right.
£15,000, exactly, £15,000 for their tuition fee, and then on average around £10,000 for their living costs to live in the UK. So if you're making that kind of financial contribution to the UK, but also investment into your own future, you should know which university you're going to, particularly if you're coming to study. So this is where, a very small error can become a huge problem for the student. And it is a reason why we can turn around and say, look, we're rejecting this application on this occasion.
Simple thing.
So that's the first one. It's a small one, but it has massive ramifications on a student's application.
Saeed, just a counter question. Are you trying to say that personal statement actually goes with the visa application to UKVI? Or is it just for the eyes of the admissions?
So that's just for admissions. But if we do credibility interview students, so this year we'll be credibility interviewing all of our Nigerian and Ghanaian students, for example, and the personal statement is a key part of that. So, for example, if they mention another university in their credibility interview instead of the Montfort University, that's another, ground for. Exactly. I mean, all of this is about an application is ultimately, seeing if a student is the right fit for the university. That's what an application is seeking to do when we assess it anyway. And everything feeds into that, not just the qualifications. The qualifications are important, but the personal statement, the student's CV, and the information they provide in that application form, all of those things are key. So it's important that students are as accurate as possible in all areas, and particularly with the personal statement. I see it so often, and it's incredibly frustrating for us because we know it's a simple error that the student has made, but it needs to be corrected before we're able to move on.
Okay. Right, I was just going to say, I've got this PDF document from De Montfort University where it's personal statement guidance. So I actually give that to students while they're applying. So
I mean, it's all the information is there. The underlying issue is always, when you're applying to 5 different universities, 3 different universities, human error can happen, and we understand that, but it's just if it can be avoided, it should be.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay. So guys, I've got a PDF document from De Montfort University about guidance with regards to personal statements. So if you've actually registered with this webinar with an email, that will be sent out to you soon. And I'll put in the link below as well. Brilliant. So now you have actually emphasized and re-emphasized that the personal statement is very important. Very important.
It's everything. I mean, it's a statement of purpose, right? It's a statement of intention that the student is putting forth. And it gives us an insight into why the student wants to study with us, ultimately. And, it's all about student success at the end of the day. It's not just about, pumping in as many students into the university as possible.
No.
We want the students to complete their studies and be successful in their studies. And it doesn't just stop there. We want them to be successful in their career. So where we can, we will guide students towards that end. And the personal statement is a key part of that.
Okay, brilliant. I've got a question for you, Saeed, just now. It's from Ms. Shamsi. So, hello, thank you for coming. He's asking, I'm now about to start application. I hope I'm not too late.
No, not at all. I mean, we're heading into our application season now. So, speak to Sana and she'll take care of you. I believe the DMs are open. So
yes, DMs are open, emails are open, not a problem. Brilliant. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so now is the right time. Okay, so any other problems?
Yeah, so we've covered the, what seems like quite a simple one. What can be a little bit more, but it has a huge effect. What can be a little bit more grey and a little bit more subjective is looking at your qualifications and seeing if they match up with the entry requirements set out by the university. So, for example, students coming from Nigeria, if they're going into year 1 at Montfort University, they need either a foundation course through our partners, DMUIC, or they need to have a diploma from Nigeria, a recognized diploma. They can't, for example, use the WIAC to go directly into year 1. And just being aware of these things, avoid disappointment. So there's a few ways in which that they can, overcome this is, by making sure that they're aware of the entry requirements that we set out on our website, but also just taking a look at the standard across the UK in terms of, what's accepted for their qualifications and what's not. And, there's a huge amount of resource available, notwithstanding agents such as yourself that are able to guide students through this process. And the worst thing you can do is, just make an application for the sake of an application and see if it, comes back with the result you're hoping for. Because again, it speaks to a lack of, research on behalf of the student. It speaks to a lack of credibility on the behalf of the student because, for instance, if you've got a WIAC that's coming from Nigeria and you're hoping for advanced entry, it's so far off what's expected that, it speaks to a lack of research. So that's another one, not having the right qualification for the course that you're applying for. Again, sounds pretty obvious, but we see it again and again, not only, at the Montfort University, but I'm sure across the UK. And it's super important that you're able to make an informed decision about, again, what is a, £25,000 commitment per year. You need to reflect that in your research before you make an application.
Okay, brilliant. So the qualifications have to match. Right, massive favor. I was just going to ask you, what kind of, in terms of documentation, have you had any pitfalls there with regards to documentation?
In what sense?
As in, what kind of things do you look out for? Like, as in the quality of the scan. If it's too fuzzy, that will delay things. If you can't number.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so all of these things we try to assess as best as possible. And some of them are able, we are able to assess some of them online and verify them, I should say, online.
Okay.
But when students are providing these documents, they have to be stamped and signed, for example. So the certificate has to be stamped and signed, and the transcript has to be legible ultimately. If the admissions department can't read what you're providing, we can't assess the application. And that goes for, the PDF application also. So if your handwriting isn't the best, like mine, for example, type and, make sure that every single word is legible, because otherwise we have to kick it back and ask for, further clarification or an explanation.
With regards to references, is it correct? And please correct me. Is it you'd like one which is from academia and one from work, if that applies?
Yeah, so it depends on the student situation. For example, so if a student has been out of work, out of studies, I should say, for a period of time, there are instances where we can accept a professional reference. But if a student has only just completed their studies, we would expect an academic reference.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Now, can I just ask you? There might be a lot of students who are watching right now who have just recently graduated. So I'm just going to take Nigeria as an example because most of my students come from there. In Nigeria, apparently, when you graduate, you don't get your certificates and your transcripts straight away. So is the international office aware about that, and how can we overcome that issue if it's delayed?
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the bigger issues that we face with students coming from Nigeria, and that's delays in receiving their transcripts and degree certificates. And, as far as we are able to, we try and accommodate for that. But ultimately, if we can't get a hold of these documents, we can't process the application. And, we have to abide by that ultimately, because we have to check that the student is, the qualifications that they're presenting in their application is verified. And if we're not able to do that, we can't proceed. But where we are able to, make accommodations for that, we do. But where we're not, we can't, unfortunately.
Okay. Because I'll just give you a scenario, Said. So basically, I heard a student a couple of days ago, they said that I've just graduated last year, 2021. It'll take months and months to get the transcript of everything, but they can get a printout. But if they get a printout so I suggested to them that, look, go to your registrar's office and ask for them to confirm that it is your results, that you have graduated on this day. And if they could give an official stamp and date it, that would be okay. Is that okay with Freedom of University?
Unfortunately not. I mean, it has to be an official document. It can't just be a printout and that's signed and stamped. It has to follow there are certain guidelines and in terms of documentation, and admissions will ultimately be very strict with what they see. There are very rare instances of fraudulent documents being sent over, and to counteract this and to battle this, ultimately there has to be a standard. So it won't be enough for a student. And in all honesty, most students are able to get their official degree and their transcript in time for the intake. Okay. So any students that do face this issue, if you just signpost them to me, we can make contacts within their school, and we can make contacts with them directly and say, look, can we expect this for this particular student? And that way we can make contact. But simply having a printout and then getting that stamped and signed
won't cut it.
No, ultimately we are a UK higher education institution, and we can't just accept a document that isn't official. It has to be an official document, and it has to go through the official channels.
Okay. Could you highlight something about the finances and about deposits? Sometimes Nigerian banks, I'm just going to talk about Nigeria because that's what I deal with really. There tends to be a bit of a bottleneck with regards to finances and deposits. So do you have any advice to students to
it was going to be probably my last point, but I'll tackle it now. So my big piece of advice is, in terms of deposits and payments, there's always two thresholds that students are, made aware of more prominently than any other thresholds. And that's the threshold to receive a CAS and the threshold to be able to register for your course. So those are two different amounts. At the moment, we have a £4,000 deposit that you need to pay once you've become unconditional, and then you're able to get your CAS letter. And then you need to meet at least 50% of your tuition fee in order to register for your course. So what tends to happen more often than not is students will make that initial deposit, they'll get their CAS, they'll apply for their visa. Inevitably, there are delays in their visa, and then they have to wait until right up until the last moment to meet that 50% payment, because most students want to wait until they get their visa approved before making a further payment. Now, the UKVI recently released a report on Nigerian visa applications and their success rate, and I think they put it at 96%. So, students coming from Nigeria should be confident that UK HDIs are making the necessary checks in order to only send those students that are credible CAS letters and then making them eligible to apply for their visa. So my big advice would be to meet that second threshold as soon as possible before you receive your CAS letter. So pay 50%.
Really?
Absolutely.
My goodness, that's news. Okay, hold on.
Absolutely.
The bus. Are you trying to say first apply, get the offer, could be conditional or unconditional, right? Once it's unconditional, you pay the deposit. So are you saying, Said, that your advice is that once they've got the CAS that they should really pay off the fee?
No, not quite. So essentially, once they become unconditional, they should go ahead and make 50% of their payment, because that's the threshold for them to register. And then once they've got their CAS letter and they apply for their visa, that makes the registration process smoother for them, because that bottleneck you're talking about is essentially students from all over the world, not just our students coming from sub-Saharan Africa, trying to meet that registration deadline. So to avoid that bottleneck, one of the best ways to do that is to meet that second threshold.
My goodness.
The big thing, ultimately, these students are committing to paying the full tuition fees. So meeting that 50% shouldn't sound too jarring, particularly if you are a credible student and you are confident of the visa application you're making. And to avoid any delays with the visa application and to give yourself the best possible opportunity to register on time, meet that second threshold as soon as you can, and avoid the headache, essentially.
Okay, right. Can I ask you another nitty-gritty question? Please correct me if I'm wrong, or if you don't want to answer, that's fine as well. So basically, I'm just trying to get my head around this, because I have to advise students, like they say, how much do I have to pay now? How much do I pay? Right. So are you trying to say that this is my scenario? Pretend I've got a student in front of me. So are you trying to say pay your deposit, okay, your initial deposit, then you get the CAS, and you're advising pay 50% anyway. So in the bank, would it just be the living cost that they need to show and the remaining 50%?
Yeah. So get your unconditional offer letter.
Yeah.
And then your first payment should be 50%.
Okay, so get that done. So then you don't need to show that in the bank, but you have to show. What do you have to show then? That's my question.
So once you've got your CAS letter in your bank statement, what you have to show is the living costs for the year, which are around
9,125 pounds outside London.
There we go. And then the remaining fee, so that will be the remaining 50%.
Okay. That sounds doable.
Yeah. So, well, it's all the same fees, essentially.
It's the same. It doesn't matter whether you paid it or not. You have to pay anyway.
You're paying anyway. And you have to pay in order to register. So before you actually study with us, you have to pay that 50%. So instead of waiting until the last moment, and once your visa is approved, pay up front. And then as long as, you are confident of your visa application, you're not going to have any issues, essentially. I mean, the report itself says 96% of our students in the UK.
I need to write that in a planner. Right. Okay, I need to write this. I don't know how I'm going to write this. Okay, I'm going to do that in a minute. But I just want to say, Saeed, if scenarios, if students are saying they'll pay the deposit, they'll get the CAS, and they'll pay the remaining, so it's 50%, will that be reflected in the CAS in time for their visa?
Say that again, sorry.
Okay, so you said, sorry, I keep emphasizing this point, but it's quite important what you just said. So once they've paid the 4,000, then you issue the CAS, and you're advising just pay, so you've got your 50%.
Yes, I'm not advising £4,000. I'm advising 50%.
No, 50%. Yeah, you're advising pay your 50% before you start the course. I get that, but will that be reflected in the CAS?
Not quite. So what I'm saying is
the
first deposit. Yeah, so that first deposit, which is normally £4,000 before the CAS is issued, so that first deposit should be 50%. So that will be reflected in the CAS letter, and then they don't have any issues. And then the bank statement needs to reflect 50% remaining, and then the living costs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Minimum 4,000, but if you pay 50%, you put less in the bank.
Yeah, so minimum is 4,000, but don't
minimum 4,000, but put in 50. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So 50% before CAS letter.
Okay. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about, I hope you understand what we're saying. If you don't, please write in the comment. Saeed is here to answer your question, not a problem. Saeed will agree with me. We have had this issue only last month, where there was a bottleneck. It was very difficult for certain students to pay on time because of finances and banks. So he's just advising you again and again, don't leave it last minute. Okay, it's not a good thing to leave to pay 50% to the last minute. Make sure, ideally, just pay it as your deposit, the 50% of a fee, and then you show 50% in your bank statement with the living costs. Okay, so it's very important. We have had students who've been trapped in that bottleneck. Right. Okay, Alfred Darby. Okay, Saeed. Sorry, I've just said it, and then someone said Roy. Could you explain it again? Okay, go for it. I'm not going to disturb you.
Right, so let me try and break it down super simply, right? So applicant journey is as follows. We receive an application, we provide you with a conditional offer letter, and once you meet those conditions, you get an unconditional offer letter. So that's stage 1, application offer. Stage 2 is the conditional offer letter. Stage 3 is the unconditional offer letter. And then the only thing you have remaining is the fees you have to pay. In order to get your CAS letter, the minimum requirement is £4,000. In order to register, the minimum requirement is 50% of your fees. So if you have a £15,000 course, you need to have £7,500 paid up before you can register. So you would have to make £4,000 and then a further £3,500 payment.
Correct.
What I'm suggesting to you is, instead of splitting these two up, make that £7,500 payment or 50% of your fees before you get your CAS letter. So once you get your unconditional offer letter, you hit that third stage, pay 50% of your fees, receive your CAS letter, and then once you've got your visa approved, you'll be eligible to enroll immediately. You don't have to make a second payment, wait for it to clear, wait for the CBN to release funds, and all of these other things that tend to crop up. You're not leaving it to chance, effectively. I hope that's clear, Alfred. But if you do have any questions, do let me know directly, or you can speak to Afsana and we can go through it again.
We can do this again. Right, we've got a counter question. Do you know what? Ola, thank you, Alfred. Thank you so much. That's a good question that you've asked him, not me, to repeat the question. Right, Olaniyi, I was going to ask the same question. Right, Olaniyi, thank you for that question. Want to ask if I pay 50% now and I don't have all the remaining 50%, so I don't have all, will that affect my admission or even visa?
I'll let you answer that one, Afsana.
Okay. Okay, so basically what it is that you need to be able to show so these are for, let's say, master students. You need to be able to show that you actually have the means to pay your whole fees. So Alaniyi, you said, want to ask if I pay 50%. Okay, fine, good. So that'll be reflected in your CAS. I don't have all of the remaining 50%. Then that means that it'll be difficult. It will have an impact, not the admission, it'll have an impact on your visa application. Okay, now, so I would advise you to put the remaining fee in the bank. You need to show UKVI that you are financially stable for your living, that's your living costs, and you are able to pay the remaining fee. Okay, otherwise I don't want to sugarcoat it. You won't be able to get the visa if you can't afford it, even if you're down by £1 rejection. Okay, Olaniyi, even if your amount in the bank is down by even £1, that could lead to a rejection. Don't do that. Okay, so if you come with me, we will go through it. So basically, with the magnifying lens side, this is what I do. I actually sit with the student and we count the days, the 28 days literally, and we say, how much have you got? Currency, according to currency right now, how much is that worth? If there is any, so I actually ask them to put more money in because the Nigerian naira is very weak at the moment. It's unstable. It could go up or down. So I always ask them put at least another 200, 300, 400 pounds more. Alaniyi, let me know if that answers your question. I would highly recommend to put your fees. If you haven't given all of it to begin with, you need to show that you can afford the fees. So yeah, put it all in. Right, brilliant. So that was, I'm so glad. That was a huge elephant in the room, Saeed, because it's a pain. It's a pain. What do you call it? Pain point. Students will always ask that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a massive one at the end of the day, and ultimately, I kind of understand where students are coming from because it is a bit of it's tough, making that initial commitment of 50%. But it saves them so much headache down the line, and it sounds like a lot, but ultimately you're committing to 100% of the fees. Not 25%, not 50%, 100%. 100%. And that's how they have to think about it.
Okay. Right. Another question which I had for you is process times. That's another elephant in the room. I really need to know, my friend. You are there. You're on the live wire. Could you please tell me what is the process time for De Montfort University? Any light on that subject?
Yeah, 48 hours. 48 hours. So we have a brand new process in place now that will get offers to students in 48 hours.
Brilliant. My goodness, you didn't tell me that before. That's brilliant. Okay, right. Any other problems that you faced in applications? What advice?
No, I think we've covered the main points. Any others are few and far between, but those are the main points.
Brilliant. Right. So I just want to say, Saed, thank you so much for your time. Is there any advice or parting words you'd like to say to our audience who are watching?
I mean, the only piece of advice I would give, to all of the students that are hoping to apply for September 22 and beyond, in fact, is, try and make an informed decision. This is a huge part of your life that you are committing to, and your contribution to the UK is incredibly appreciated. But ultimately, it's for your career and it's for your success within the course. So if you can do as much research about the course that you're hoping to apply for and some of the things that you'll need to do in order to be successful within that course, then do it well before you apply, because you want to be an informed participator in this process. and not just here to, grab your certificate and then move on with your life. This is massive. Whether it's a year or 4 years, it's going to, really inform the next steps in your life. So take an informed decision, take your time, and ask as many questions as you possibly can.
Fantastic. And again, Saed is being very modest. In actual fact, our university, Montfort University, have won an award for I think it's the best university for student support. Is that correct, Saed?
It's something like that, yeah. I mean, you know me, we're not here to. It's all about. I'll let you make a post, and you can shout it to the rooftop.
Definitely, it's worth doing a song and dance. In the UK, we Brits, we tend not to blow our trumpet, but we should, and this is an opportunity. So basically, in 2021, Montfort University, they won the best. Were the best university in terms of career services, and they still are. They still are. Look at my other YouTube videos. You'll see careers advisors, they've actually come here and they've actually talked about. They're so passionate. The whole point of this game, my friends, is for you to utilize Montfort University to get a better life. Saed is totally right. Make an informed choice, something that will lead you to employability. If you go to your dream job, success for you, we're happy. Montfort University are even happier, because that's what they measure their success. How many students after graduation get into an employment? Okay, number one. Number two, student support services. Montfort University are award-winning in that department in terms of support services. Okay, so they're there and they've got an award for it. They've been recognized for it. I will write a post about it, but that's something that you could think about when you're applying in the UK. So thank you so much for your time. You are a very busy
thank
person.
You. And I really appreciate you having me here, and I think you're a real testament of what an agent should be like. In terms
now you're embarrassing me. Stop it. Stop it.
No, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
No, thank you so much. Like I said, Saed Abib is the regional manager for Sub-Saharan Africa. He is from Montfort University. He is the guy who will look after you from A to Z. He has a huge team, and together, jointly, they work very closely. They communicate very well, very smooth, very quick. Okay, they're here for you, and I'm here for you as well. So we're all here for you. So yeah, thank you so much, Saed, and I hope to see you in another webinar.
Yeah, thank you so much, and for all your comments, and for all the students watching. Now you know who to go to if you want to have a smooth application journey, and that's UK Bright Education. It's Afsana, so don't underestimate the value of a good agent. They can really make life easier for you. So UK Bright Education.
Brilliant. Thank you, Saed. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye. Right, so that was Saed himself. He came here, my goodness, he came just for you guys. You have no idea. He gave pearls of wisdom. He gave pearls of wisdom. Do you understand? He's talking from the heart, from his experience. Personal statements. Number one, make sure you write the right name of the university. Please do that, okay? It looks like you will need to be doing a credibility interview if you're from Nigeria or from Ghana. Can you imagine if you come through the door and you say, hello, Michael? That's not my name. How do you think I feel? Okay, so make sure, and I will look at your personal statement, not a problem. So make sure you got to be careful with that. Finance, you've heard it direct from Saed himself. If you want more information about that, DM me direct. With regards to documents, legit, you've got to give the right documents, not just any Mickey Mouse documents. Montfort University have a very, very experienced team with regards to checking your documents whether they're authentic. They are willing to actually go and approach your university if you can't approach. They're even willing to do that, but we'll see if it comes to that situation. With regards to student support services and career services, Montfort University, top notch. Okay, I'm not going to lie. If they've got an award for it, then they must be good at it. Okay, so remember, if you'd like a UK university admission, I know there's some DMs. I'm going to reply as soon as I've finished here, so I will reply, don't worry. But what I'd like to say is this. Now is the time to apply. If you've got the means, go for it. The pandemic has done things to people, okay? Life is short. If you've got the means, let UK Bright Education make that choice to make your future bright with UK Bright Education. Did you see what I did there? Okay, right. I'll see you until next time. Take care. Bye-bye.